Hi, welcome to a couple of Sassholes podcast. I'm Brooklyn Johnson.
And I'm Heather Terry.
And this is our power hour of true crime where we talk about fucked up people doing fucked up shit, usually for fucked up reasons or sometimes for no reasons at all.
That's right.
Yes. We're going to do that again today.
Yeah. Are we? Good.
I hope so.
Is that why we're here?
That's why I came here.
Oh, I guess I'll participate as well.
And to get out of my house.
Yeah.
It's always good to get out of the house when you work from home.
We were talking about that. Working from home is like bizarre. And like your husband works from home and mine doesn't. So I'm like, every time you call, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Like yesterday, you were like, your ADHD is on fire.
I'm like, I don't even know where we are. And I can't follow.
You were trying.
Because you're fucking being psycho.
You were trying. By psycho, you mean I changed the topic of conversation in 2 sentences probably 10 times.
Yes. And never stop talking through them. You were on one.
I was ready. I was ready to go. I had things to say. I have things to say today.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
So we also got microneedling done.
Mm-hmm.
2 days ago at Hetef Aesthetics here in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Yes.
I wanted to ask how you felt now that you've gone through the whole process. What you thought of the experience?
I thought it was good. I'm excited to see the results. My skin's a little sensitive, so she's a little touchy, but in a good way. Yeah,
I've done like different things with my skin because I'm a fucking female and I care and I have always been interested in that. I don't want to be like, because I care, because fuck that. Some people care and they just don't do anything. But like, I'm interested in it. I want to know what the fuck's going on with my face. Like, how can I fucking prevent aging? Because as a female, I'm like, don't do the unthinkable, which is what's going to fucking happen to everyone. I had no idea what to expect because microneedling is kind of like, it almost looks like an EpiPen, but it has a whole bunch of like small needles in it. And they're basically like rammed right into your face.
It's like, and it tickles right here by your ear.
She says tickle.
No, it did.
I say pinch. Different words.
Yeah, it did. Well, it would have scared anybody off from it because it's like, it wasn't
I don't think you can scare anyone off of a procedure if they want to do it.
That's true.
Like, if you become more aware of it, then you're just now more informed. But if it's something that you want to do, you're not going to get talked out of it.
That's very true.
They put numbing cream on you.
Oh, yeah. And that feels real weird.
Yeah. There's like random moments of uncomfort, I would say. But I wouldn't say it was like painful by any means. I have loved it, though. Like, I'm day 2 or whatever. My skin, I guess, is less sensitive. And so I'm starting to do a little bit of peeling. But like, I think this is probably the thing I've noticed the most change to my skin out of everything, but we've also done a lot and we take care of our skin. But if you guys haven't done microneedling and you live in the Kentucky area, definitely stop by Hetef and don't forget to mention a couple of Sassholes because you do get 15% off.
I mean,
things to do.
I mean, yeah, and then I do. I'm excited to see the end of it because I just want to like touch it. We can only use like the gentle cleansers right now, and I'm used to that. I
exfoliated my face today.
You did? I did not, and I'm used to like the Zeo.
I didn't do any gentle.
Yeah. And then so I'm ready to do that to really get in there.
What else did you want to talk about?
I want to ask you a couple questions because I feel like since you're bringing the story, I just felt like I was a substitute teacher. I told Drew when I got here all morning, I've been like, what do I need to do something for the show because it's not my turn. But
I never feel that way when it's not my turn, but I love your dedication to the game.
Right.
I'm like, it's not my turn. I'm coming in to get entertained today.
Right. Well, I did. Yeah. So what is one inconvenience that you'd like to do to an enemy that's like not exactly harmful, but a first world problem? So like someone that you may not care for.
Oh, easy. I would slow down their internet.
You had that one real quick.
Because my fucking internet sucks. My fucking internet sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is the thing that fucking makes me want to gut punch anything and everything? It's my internet. So I'm like, if I could slow down their internet for the rest of their life and make them have to wait at least 3 to 7 seconds for anything they click on.
Yeah.
Fucking revenge.
I would like take the remotes out of the batteries out of the remotes.
Oh, I'm trying to make them kill themselves.
And then you're like...
I want them to take their own life from their internet. I'm being so extreme, guys. Please don't attack. It was a joke.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I was trying to think of. And the only thing I could think of is just taking the batteries out every single time they replace them. Or just flipping them around so it doesn't work. Because you know how people like push it harder.
Yeah. I'm like, we lose our remotes 24/7. So we've had them downloaded onto our phones for a long time. So I'm like, I would just go to that.
Right. Okay. What would the title of your autobiography be if one of your exes wrote it?
Oh, I don't know. Bitchy cunt. I'm trying to think here of my ex. I've been married and I've been in a relationship for 5 years. So like that's not an exceptionally long time, but it's long enough for me to not remember any of my exes or even fucking think about them. But I'm like, I was really bitchy. Was really stuck up. So I like the word cunt. I know people like that. That's like a word like fuck that just like bothers people and riles them up. And I came from a beautiful line of military people. And I have been garnishing my sentence dishes with cuss words since I was 7. So cunt doesn't make me upset. If someone's like, you fucking cunt, I'm like, you know it. You know, I am a cunt. It doesn't bother me.
I don't know. I typed these questions and purposely did not think about them. When I typed them out, I was like, don't think about your answer till you're on the spot. Mine would probably be crazy when provoked. So I'm not crazy, but don't piss me off. Then I get crazy.
Intriguing. Mm-hmm. I think they would just call you crazy. I'm assuming if we're talking about an ex, the stage of your life it had to have been, and I didn't even know you then, but based off the tell-all book that you have provided to me as our friendship, I'm going to assume it would just be crazy, not even when provoked. From what I know, you're a crazy girl.
I already know the answer to mine. Which reality TV show would you be kicked off of and why? Mine would be Survivor.
I'm like, Survivor. I don't watch... I don't know. I don't know. I'm over here like, I don't know what to do. I don't know reality shows. I don't watch any at all. And I haven't for many years.
Yeah.
So
I think you'd be,
all of them.
I think you'd be kicked off of The Circle, which is like where you try to catfish people using social media on Netflix.
I think I'd be really good at that one.
I think you'd be good at it, but you like social media sometimes feels like a chore.
If you're on a show for social media, sister.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have gotten on the show for my lack of social media use. I'm going to jump on my story because I feel like we've had a very eventful start to the show. Okay. Have you ever heard of the Cabin 28 murders? Or the Keddie murders?
No.
Okay. I'm going to fucking tell you about them today. Right. I'm not going to get into, well, I might as well. Wikipedia, all that's interesting, 10-minute murder, and then abc10.com. And then there was another podcast. It was a BuzzFeed video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. 2 guys, super entertaining. I cherish them, and yet I didn't write down their names. But they were awesome, and they went to visit the location.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah, and it was really cool. And then I was like, we're going to have to change how we do our shit. Because we're going to have to do some drive into these places.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to tell you about it. It starts in Keddie in Plumas County, Northern Carolina, about a 2 to 3 hour northwest commute of Reno, Nevada. It's nestled in a forested mountain area, and it was once a quiet railroad town with a population of under 100 people. Oh, super small.
Could you imagine trying to date there?
Oh, my God. I thought about everything because of how small this town was. So imagine like, is it Appalachia or Appalachia?
Appalachia. I'll throw in Appalachia.
Okay, I'm going to remember that. It made me think of like the Appalachia towns whenever we're watching like the Skinwalkers and all the mimics and shit. That's the kind of town, if I can paint a picture for you.
Picture's painted.
Thank you. So the elevation's around 3,300 feet. It's heavily wooded with snow in winter, and it's basically isolated depending on the weather year round. Okay. When you look at the area, it's secluded and it's a little bit creepy. And it's exactly how you would think a horror movie town would look. It was actually turned into a low income vacation and residential area. So though it's houses, like you're going to hear me talk to them as cabins, like think of just a small street. Okay. In a country town. So on the chilly night of April 11th, 1981, a horrendous crime took place, leaving one child to come home to a terrifying scene. The Sharp family is residing at the Keddie Resort in cabin number 28. We have Glenna Susan, who goes by Sue. I'm going to reference her as Sue pretty much throughout all of this. Sue Sharp. Born on March 29th, 1945 in Massachusetts, she had 5 children and had left her home in 79, so just 2 years before, in Connecticut after separating from her husband, James Sharp. Now, Sue's brother, Don, lived there, and that's basically how they ended up there. She had a 15-year-old son named John, 14-year-old daughter named Sheila, a 12-year-old daughter named Tina, and 2 younger sons, Rick, who's 10, and Greg, who's 5. On the morning of that fateful day of April 11th, at about 11:30 in the morning, Sue Sharp, her daughter Sheila, and her young son Greg left the Meeks family house, which is close family friends, to pick up Rick, who was down in Quincy at Gansner Field trying out for a baseball team. On the way back, they spotted John Sharp, which is Sue's teenage son, and his buddy Dana Wingate, and they're hitchhiking near the mouth of the canyon that stretched between Quincy and Keddie. Now, the two boys had been out and about, and the canyon was known to be a hitchhiking route back then in the 80s. We all know there was no fucking Uber.
I couldn't imagine.
You had to just hitchhike. We could never imagine because we are females.
Right.
We will never imagine hitchhiking, though hitchhiking is the same as Uber, as we're getting into a fucking stranger's vehicle and is now more dangerous now than it was before. But we could never imagine it because we have vaginas. If we had a penis, we could imagine it. Just so you know. We could imagine it. So, anywho, Sue ended up seeing them and gave them a ride, dropping them back in Keddie, just about 6 miles down the road. Fast forward to about 3:30 that afternoon, John and Dana were seen hitchhiking again, which I love that when you read this, if you didn't realize that was just commuting, like the boys were just fucking hanging out, you know?
They're like, you ready to go back? Yup.
Right?
That's so weird.
And then now they're headed back to Quincy. So no one knows exactly what their plans were. Everyone believed they were just going to meet up with friends. The two were later spotted walking around Quincy's downtown strip. That night, Sheila had plans to spend the night at her friend's place, which is the Seabolt family, and they live next door in cabin 27. So around 8 p.m., she said goodnight and left cabin 28. Back at home, Sue stayed for the evening with her sons, Rick and Greg, along with the boys' friend Justin Smart, who lived a few cabins away as well. So at some point around 9:30 p.m., Tina Sharp, Sue's 12-year-old daughter, who had been watching TV over at the Seabolts, popped her head in and asked what time it was, and then headed back to cabin 28. And that would be the last time that Tina would be seen by anyone outside of that cabin. So at about 10 a.m. the following morning, 14-year-old Sheila Sharp comes back to her family's cabin expecting a normal morning. She walks into fucking hell. Her mom, Sue, her brother, John, and his friend, Dana, which was a guy, I feel like I need to mention that, were all murdered, all in the living room, horrifically bound with medical tape, electrical cords, a vicious attack. There's blood everywhere. Tina, which is Sheila's little sister, is gone. Nowhere to be found. And I'll end up coming back to that. But the three younger boys, Rick, Greg, and Justin, were found unharmed, asleep in the back bedroom. So Sheila ran screaming back to the Seabolts, and one of them actually climbed through a bedroom window to get like the guys out of the window so they didn't walk through the house. The murder scene itself is completely fucking savage. 2 knives and a hammer were found at the scene. 1 knife reportedly bent from the force used.
Jeez.
Blood spatter showed it all went down in the living room. Sue was found lying on her side near the couch, nude from the waist down, gagged with her own underwear, and a bandana held in place with tape. She had been stabbed in the chest. Her throat was slashed horizontally, deep enough to hit the spine.
Oh, God.
Another fucking terrible note is when her body was found, there was a imprint of the BB rifle butt on her head. She was hit so hard in the head with the butt of a rifle.
Oh, jeez.
John's throat had also been slashed, and Dana was manually strangled, though he had also had major head trauma as well. Both boys were beaten with what was believed to be 1 or more hammers. His ankles were actually tied up with electrical wire, and that wire was actually wrapped around John's ankles too. So the 2 friends were actually like tied together, literally.
Mm-mm.
When the autopsies came back, it was confirmed that Sue and John had died from the stabbing and the blunt force trauma, and Dana died from asphyxiation. Who the absolute fuck could have actually done it is the, like, keep in mind, this town is under 100 people. When I was watching that BuzzFeed video, they had said 66 people lived in that town at the time. So super small group. Why the scene was so brutal, so unbelievably terrible. Some people were left living. Some people were dead. 1 was missing. It was like the most fucking confusing, horrible experience in this town that they could have imagined.
All right. Sounds awful.
Right? Now, unfortunately, this crime scene is going to be handled incorrectly.
I
don't know necessarily that the crime scene is handled incorrectly or if the evidence is handled incorrectly, but we'll untie those shoelaces together, shall we? All right, let's talk about some suspects. Who's the sussies?
The-
Right away, it falls on Martin Smart, Justin's stepdad, who lived next door basically in cabin number 26. And he had just so happened to have reported a missing claw hammer the days like before the murders.
He told somebody that, like, to the
He
cops?
reported that he had reported a missing claw hammer the days leading up to the murder, which blew me the fuck away. I was like, okay, we're construction-y people. You guys are too. You guys fucking redo shit. I know where our hammer is. We have one hammer that I know of that was my grandfather's. I'm sure there's a secondary hammer from Travis's previous life.
Yeah.
I know where the fuck it is. If I didn't see that hammer there, I would never once think it was stolen. I'd be like, I had misplaced the fucking hammer. I also Googled how much a fucking hammer costs. Because I was like, is this an expensive? Maybe there's expensive hammers, Brooklyn, and you're being ignorant.
How much is it?
$10. A hammer is roughly on average $10, unless you're getting a fancy fucking hammer.
They don't have anything else going on. I guess 66 people, it's probably not popping off. So maybe he's like, you know what? I'm going to cause a ruckus. Where the fuck is my hammer? Because I know you're not, it's not him. You're saying it too early, right? It can't be him. I don't think he did it.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I'm gonna die.
I just am still blown away that he fucking did this in the first, like that he called in a fucking missing hammer.
I know. Could you imagine getting that call?
I thought about it
ma'am,
too.
do you want me to call in the FBI?
I say this, but then I also look at the photos and you'll see the cabin. Like it was a low income area. And I'm like, maybe that was like, I'm still like, oh, it was only $10. Well, when times are hard, $10 is a lot of money.
Right.
So I
get that.
Teach their own.
Hey, they put the police scanner they used to here in the paper, and somebody called in and said that somebody stole a taco out of their house. Like a taco was stolen out of their house, and it made the newspaper here in Davis County, Kentucky.
Yes, that is riveting.
I'm like,
that is news.
I know, but you're.
If I've ever seen something worthy
I
of
just
being...
think it's so stupid.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I said it and you go, yes.
Yes. Yeah, like that's our...
That's
leave it to Heather to take it as me attacking her and not just purely stating that is the news that we have in our area. Golly. Okay, anyway, he also allegedly was a wife beater.
Oh.
Martin was. So now after Sue had started over after what was likely, I don't know if it was a divorce or if it was just separated or how important divorces were in the world's grand scheme of things. Like, did people have to get divorced or did they just separate and live separate lives and then wait until somebody wanted to shack up with somebody else? And I was like, I guess we'll get a divorce.
I guess we'll do it on paper. If you want to marry Helen.
Right.
From cabin 12.
Right.
She has multiple hammers.
It felt a little bit like Twister, like I'm about to marry this new bitch. I really need you to sign these papers. I don't know what the case is, but because she had left Massachusetts or Connecticut, whenever she came over to Keddie, she was there and she was being supportive to Martin's wife, Marilyn. So while Marilyn was considering leaving him, she was helping her through maybe what could have been the process of getting a divorce. If you've gotten divorced, it's a huge fucking process and you need a fucking group of people there to help and support you. And so from my understanding, Sue was that to Marilyn, who was Martin's fucking wife. So Martin was also friends with this guy, Bo, who was a naughty little nugget. He had ties with organized crime, not the disorganized type, Heather.
I know. Why do they say that?
But
you have to be organized.
Organized crime is the mob.
Crimes, right?
Right. Well, no, you don't. No.
I would assume it would
organized
take
crime is anything that's like under a business, like mob related. So it's organized crime is the mob. So he had ties to organized crime and he had a criminal record. Obviously, you don't get to do that without having a nice little rap sheet under your name. And he swooped into town right before the murders and then dipped right after. This guy's name, and I love how I just say Bo. I wonder if I skipped a page. Nope, I didn't. I should have double checked. Well, I didn't put his last name, which shocks me. And the reason the guy's name is Bo Beatty. And his last name And his name just fucked with me this whole time. But he's the thing that stood out to me in this whole thing was this dude's name, which was Bo Beatty.
Was it short for Bocephus or something? Like, because that mom must have been like, I don't care, just Bo, make it right.
That was his nickname, was Bo. Okay, but his last name was Bo Beatty. So he was referenced as Bobo Beatty, which just fucking fucked with my head. Anyway, so that guy was super suspect. And then there was another fun fact for Fun Fact Thursday is that the sheriff, Doug Thomas, was reportedly friends with Martin Smart. And some believe that he had protected him throughout the entire investigation. So, Martin Smart, Sue's friend Marilyn's husband, the stepfather to one of the kids in the house.
Okay.
And also friends with the sheriff. Okay. Now, whether or not this whole thing was intentional, there was key evidence that was ignored, lost, or suppressed, however the fuck you want to put it. Evidence was hidden.
Really?
Is the way I'm going to fucking say it. Because there's no other way to explain why the things I'm going to explain to you happen unless someone intentionally chose not to look at it.
Yeah, because your first thought would be that it's such a small town, they're not used to it.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
You can only take that excuse so far.
Right. Now, I'm going to step on over to Justin, which is that little boy who had been sleeping in the next room.
Okay.
Right. So he started giving some real strange stories. So first, he had said that he was asleep through the whole thing. And then he said he dreamed about what happened. And then they were like, oh, we have a traumatized child. We should obviously put him under hypnosis.
Oh, obviously.
Right?
Right.
And so he had claimed through his hypnosis that he saw Sue with two unknown men that night. And based on the police are like, let's whip up some composite sketches, right? But let's whip up composite sketches of a kid's dream. We should use that.
Right.
So then they're like, well, let's hire an artist. But they don't hire an artist. They hire this guy named Harlan Embry, who had no artistic training. He wasn't from the FBI.
Who was
He
this
wasn't
guy?
a DOJ sketch artist. He was just a fucking dude who volunteered. I can't make it up. Who volunteered to fucking draw. What the fuck?
I just picture a person, like a guy at the fair with a stool doing caricatures.
Oh, you would wish. You would
Like-
fucking wish. Here's the moment. Insert the composite sketch. I'm going to show
right
the
here?
photo. It's right
I
here.
want to see it.
I'll show you it. I'm going to show you it, but just, it's actually not that bad, but it doesn't fucking matter because it's a composite sketch from a non-artist of a dream. So yeah, another big moment where you're like, what the fuck? Why would the cops do that unless they were covering something up?
I mean,
But they're also in a small ass town. Maybe, I mean, I still feel like you could have gotten a high school art student.
right.
Anything. Anyway, those sketchy suspects
I gotta go.
were described as being in their late 20s to early 30s. One was tall with dark blonde hair. The other was shorter with greasy black hair. Both rocking gold-rimmed sunglasses like they were on
rimmed.
fucking Miami Vice.
Oh.
Wonderboy Media is not only the proud producer of this glorious magic imploring your ear holes right now, but they're also a big deal.
Get in touch with them today to make all of your dreams a freaking reality.
From using their bangin' ass podcast studio,
Where we are right now.
to creating amazing videos and editing our content like the mystical mavericks they are.
Your podcast can go further when you have a Wonder Boy.
Hit up Drew today at WBOYmedia.com.
Or text him day or night at 270.
Just kidding. It feels like we're off to a really solid start. We're going to figure out who killed these people.
I'm ready.
Of course, because it was the 80s and spooky as hell, people are like shouting rumors. They're fucking flying around like dicks in a strip club. And they're like, I know. And they're like, was it a ritual killing? Like, is this cult? Is this a drug hit? Like, what could it be? And basically, the cops are just like, no, it's calculated murder. And it's like, okay, but does that mean then that they ignored any other lead?
They could
So
have.
like one thing too is they were like, no, it wasn't. They were so quick to shut down drugs in the mountains with crime boss mafia.
I love that you're
I just
cutting your own self out.
Want to say, that this is suspect. All of it is suspect. And yes, that was me cutting myself off. Just cutting myself off. So there's a cover up. Like there's a cover up.
It sounds like they got tunnel vision or they covering something up.
Right. And then of course, as I put up on the shelf and acted like didn't happen, Tina went missing.
Oh,
Tina
yeah.
was never found well, I say never found for years. And then I guess now I'll tell you about it. So right after the murders, Tina was nowhere to be found, and the FBI actually treated it like an abduction at first, as they fucking should have.
Right.
She was abducted. She was 12. She was missing from a bloody crime scene where her family was murdered. But by the end of April, just a couple of weeks later, the FBI basically backed off, saying the California DOJ was doing an adequate job and their presence wasn't needed.
Really?
Yeah. Interesting.
I've never heard them just be like, no, you got it.
Yeah.
Usually they're like, we're going to figure it out till the very end. But
Yes.
that's
Especially
also
for a crime of this magnitude.
with a kid, everything.
In a small town.
Right. They're not going to be like, you got it. You got it from here. I'm going to go.
Right. They did launch a grid search with canines 5 miles around the cabin, combing through the dense forest. Nothing turned up. She had just vanished. Fast forward to April 11th, 1984. Exactly 3 years to the day since the murders. A bottle collector, of all fucking people, is out at this remote spot called Camp 18 near Feather Falls in Butte County, and he stumbles on something. No, it's not trash. It's a human skull and a piece of jawbone. And then, of course, forensics later confirmed that it was Tina. Now, things will get weirder because not long after the discovery was made public, the Butte County Sheriff's Office got an anonymous call. The voice on the line said that the remains belonged to Tina. Thing is, that call was never logged. So, understand this. A body is found. A guy calls in, says he finds skulls. A skull, whatever. While they're testing to figure out who that is, someone called in and said Tina's dead body was found. They never saved the call. The call wasn't logged in any system. It wasn't saved. It wasn't addressed. They didn't follow up. There was no report on it. It was just gone.
Why?
Well, sister, if I could tell you those things, I would be making a lot more money. That is, of course, until decades later when someone was going through the old evidence boxes, like bottom of the barrel storage, they found that tape.
Really?
So there was no report of it. They didn't catalog it. It was recorded. It was pulled from whatever and placed in a box.
That's weird.
Yes. Undocumented. Just sitting there for over 30 years. So yeah, Tina didn't just disappear. She was taken. She was left. She was obviously killed and found fucking 3 years later.
Yeah.
And she was basically forgotten by the very people who were supposed to care for her, fight for her, look after her, and give any justice to the family whatsoever.
Yeah.
Another fucking unbelievable fail. Which is where we are now in this case. This is where things are going to continue to get maddening. So at the time of the murders, the sheriff was Doug Thomas and his deputy was Lieutenant Don Stoy. And these guys, they were stumped. Straight up said they couldn't figure out a motive. Lieutenant Stoy told the Sacramento Bee years later that, quote, "The strangest thing is that there is no apparent motive. Any case without an apparent motive is the toughest to solve," end quote. And I'm like, dude, I get it. That would make sense. There doesn't seem to be a reason. There wasn't any robbery. There was no revenge. It just seemed like it was pure cruelty, which makes it hard to understand what happened. And it's the scariest kind. Now, there was also no signs of a forced entry. The detectives did find an unidentified fingerprint on the back staircase railing. So someone came in quietly, maybe invited, maybe not, but they knew how to leave and they left just as quietly. Like,
this was the 80s, right?
80s, 81.
So that's like, I mean, even in the 90s, people would be leaving them doors unlocked.
Oh, 100%. And I'm sure they did where they lived.
I mean, they
I'd be
knew
shocked that they didn't.
everybody. Like, if someone opened their door at 7 a.m., they'd be like, "Damn it, Carl, I told you not to come over till 8.
Well,
Like,
and
somebody just busts in.
One of the important things and why I explained what was happening, the like 24 hours leading up to it, was just the normalcy of it. Like, they lived on the street, and because they were isolated, everyone was talking to everyone. It was jumping from cabin to cabin, house to house. Like,
Right.
it was active. People aren't just running into my house at 9:30 checking the time, like, it was an active space.
Yeah, it's like a commune, but not.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, another thing too was that the phone was off the hook. The lights were turned off and all the drapes were shut. So whenever this happened, they then closed everything.
Oh.
So that you essentially couldn't see it in from the house, what had happened inside the house. So they essentially cleaned up. They didn't try to wipe away any blood, none of that, but they had kind of
At least shut
isolated the
blinds,
tomb a
yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned about those 3 kids and that they had basically slept through all of it. Meanwhile, a woman and her boyfriend in the cabin next door said that they heard what sounded like muffled screams at like 1:30 in the morning. But they couldn't figure out where it was coming from, so they just went back to bed. And that was probably like the only chance that they were going to actually figure out who the fuck did this, which is sad.
Yeah.
Now, I don't like, I'm shocked in general that they went through this, that somebody heard screaming, and I'm like, you're in a wooded area. I don't know if you thought it was like a fucking Fight Club
like a
or what the
fox or
fuck.
something?
I'm like, I have no idea, but
Like those videos online of foxes screaming are kind of
yes,
terrifying.
those are fucking so terrifying.
Yeah.
They do eventually get better. But what I did want to say too is besides those kids surviving it, they literally were just like, I slept through it. I don't know what else to say. Kids sleep crazy hard.
God, I miss that.
Right? Like, I do believe that someone, as an adult, no. If you and I were in a house and
my
one of us was
God.
murdered, someone
Right.
said they didn't hear it, I'm not believing you.
I
But
blinked
kids-
too loud, and you're like, you're being so loud. I'm like, I just blinked my eyes.
Kids, I don't agree with, though, because they fucking sleep
And
like
they
the
fight.
dead.
They fight the naps so hard, and now I'm like, I want to go back and take all of those,
Right?
all the ones that I fought. And I was like, I'm not tired. Now I'm like, I will sleep anywhere.
So things eventually do get better as new blood comes to work at the Plumas County Sheriff's Department, and Sheriff Greg Hagwood and badass Special Investigator Mike Gamberg join the forces. They consider, well, shit, maybe we should look through all the other shit.
Shit, maybe we should look through all the other shit.
If we found something, maybe we should dig on in here, shimmy on through those boxes, see what we uncover. And get this, in 2016, Gamberg 2016.
Yeah, that's a long time.
1981.
How many years is that?
Don't do that. Gamberg finds a hammer in a dried up pond in Keddie. Not just any hammer, a hammer that they believed was one of the ones that was one of the murder weapons. And it was obviously chilling to have been sitting in a pond for all these years. And it was like the key piece to quadruple homicide.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to mention too, Marilyn Smart, right? Marty's wife and Justin's mom. She left his ass the same day that the bodies were found.
Oh.
Here's one thing that I made a note of as I was like watching other things and looking into it. One version says that Marilyn provides this note. And then another one says that they found it in evidence, like, and that she hadn't seen it, but she recognized his handwriting.
Got it.
So I don't know.
Which one do you like better?
Neither.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. I guess I don't care. Either way, I don't care. She hands over this letter or whatever the fuck it was in the evidence. And in this letter, and I quote, I paid the price of your love, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we are through. Great. What else do you want? That was Martin to his wife, Marilyn.
Oh.
Which is not just suspicious, but it's kind of a fucking confession.
Right.
Whether or not, there's 2 ways you can read that. You can read it as he killed them. Mm-hmm. I'm admitting to killing them. I killed them for our love. What the fuck else do you want? His nonchalance of what more do you want makes me chuckle. What more do you want?
What do you want from me? I'm just over here, Marty.
Just over here murdering people.
Just murdery Marty.
Right.
He did do it. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So you could have read it like it was a confession of murder, or he could have been like, that could have just been, it cost 4 people's lives. Like, I can't imagine what part in his relationship would have anything to do with that murder unless he was tied to the fucking murder.
Yeah.
So anyway, Martin Smart should have been fucking interviewed and harassed and fucking followed and anything.
Something.
Anything.
Right.
Now I'm going to kind of fast forward to 2000. I don't know where to say where the fuck we are in this, to be honest, like as to the year
Right.
in this journey, because it's a fucking murder that is over 30 something years old and technically still pending. So in 2008, Marilyn shows up in a documentary that says flat out, she believes Marty and his shady buddy Bo did it. That's her own husband she's accusing. But instead of reopening the case, so she goes on a whole documentary and she's like, I think my husband did it and Bo.
A documentary about this case?
About this case.
And she says that.
She says that's who I think did it. In 2008, that Sheriff Doug Thomas was still in charge. And obviously he didn't reopen the case, which is what you would fucking do.
Why
usually.
would you not?
Oh, no. He goes, nah, Martin passed a polygraph.
It's not admissible.
Right. So another interesting thing is, so they say that the sheriff was friends with Martin, right? But then Marilyn's like, no, we were not friends with him. That same sheriff says that they had met and were doing couples counseling with him. Marilyn's like, no. And then everyone else that I'm seeing all of this are like, why the fuck would a couple go to a sheriff for fucking marriage counseling? And when we're all grasping for straws because we're trying to make sense of this fucking bullshit that is this story.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, maybe because it was a small town and that was the only person that they could talk to. Or he was like a mentor. Or we believed in his great love of God and his ability to spread hope, or fucking any of that. But pretty much Marilyn's like, no, we did not go to him for counseling.
No, we didn't know him. We weren't friends.
We weren't friends with him.
We were not chummy. I didn't tell why I hate Marty.
Right. None of that shit happened.
Right.
So I don't understand.
That's bizarre. That's like Ron White has a joke about how he flew into a tiny airport. Then he was like, I flew into the airport hair care and tire center there. Like that's what.
Yeah, I don't.
He's the sheriff, the therapist, and also the barber. And if you need your oil changed, she'll do it after couples counseling.
Why not?
That's right.
Why fucking
do
not?
it in the car like you're at Valvoline. Just roll the windows down.
Right.
Tell them about your problems.
Okay.
I'm letting you find your spot.
I got my spot and then I lost it. And I was like, I'm going to keep trying to figure out what Heather's saying. And then I was like, she kept going and then I didn't know what else to do. And guess what the Department of Justice did when they heard this back in 81?
Nothing.
They did nothing. They said it was hearsay. So even whenever she had done the documentary, talked about it, they did not. This was back when it first originally really happened. They still didn't go and ask Martin or do any of it.
Even just grab a coffee with the guy and be like, hey, let's just talk about it one more
How did
time.
no one see that the sheriff wasn't doing his job and have him like knock him down
Were
and
they
bring in the
scared?
FBI? Have the FBI? How would anyone be afraid of a sheriff in a small town? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means that every other person in every other channel of the justice system didn't just give a fuck enough. Like they're probably like, oh, they can fucking figure it out. They'll do it.
That's bizarre.
I'm like, are you even fucking trying to do your job? Or are you just being a stupid fuckwad?
Sounds like
I just feel like no one's
latter.
fucking trying. I get so annoyed when people don't try. Just fucking try.
Okay.
So here's the theory that got the most traction. Buckle the fuck up. Because this is one this one got my goose.
Is this worse than the owl?
No, I actually think this is what happened.
Oh, okay.
This could have been what happened. Or this is a complete fictitious thing and it's just juicy to tell.
Okay.
So picture this. We got Marty. We got Marty Smart. His wife, Marilyn, and Sue Sharp are caught in what's basically a small town love triangle. Triangle. Are you ready?
Okay.
So
yeah.
word is Marty and Sue were fooling around. And at the same time, Sue was telling Marilyn to get out to leave Marty's allegedly abusive ass for good.
Oh.
And really, she's fucking him. Maybe, maybe not. And then Marty finds out, and he wasn't just mad, he was fucking murderous. So he brings in his buddy, Bobo Beatty, a man with deep mob ties and a violent history, and who had only been living with the Smarts for 10 freaking days before the fucking murders went down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then leaves town. That's not suspect.
Right.
Now suddenly Sue's dead. Marilyn packs up and leaves Martin the same day the bodies are discovered. And the boys in the next room, including Justin, Marilyn's son, are left unharmed. It's kind of, the timing's weird. Martin has a friend come to town, little Bo Beatty action. He's over there being like, we can get away with murder. We can just fucking kill him.
Come on, let's just do it. I'll leave.
Let's just do it. And fucking Marilyn's like, I'm going to leave you because you suck. And maybe Sue's over there like, yeah, I like his dick. Or maybe she's not. And she has nothing to do with it. That's what I don't understand still is like how Sue was killed in it. Like, why was Sue, unless like Marty was mad because he's like, I'm fucking Sue, but she's telling my wife to leave me. Well, wouldn't you want your wife to leave you if you're abusive?
Or
then you get to be with your mistress.
Or maybe, I don't know. That's one of those that could go either way. Because sometimes they're like, I want to get back with my wife. And then she's like, I'm going to tell, like, she could say, I'm going to tell her what's going on. Then he's like, the fuck you're not. Because you're going to blow my life up and I'm going to try to fix it with her. Maybe he cut her off.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But then it's like, poor John and Dana. They were just like caught in the crosshairs because they were in that room. Mm-hmm. That's what you have to like, was Sue the only target and the other two kids?
Or maybe they tried to
What happened with Tina? Why did they take Tina? Why did they take her away? What happened to her when they took her away?
Sad.
Like, I don't understand.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So we can't forget about Marty's bizarre handwritten note that said he had killed people. But it doesn't stop there. When the case was reopened in 2013, investigator Mike Gamberg and Sheriff Greg Hagwood started to dig deeper. Finally. Our fucking winners, Mike and Greg. And what did they find?
I don't know.
Well, let me tell you.
Okay.
I'm gonna. According to Gamberg, this wasn't just a crime of passion. It might have been part of a bigger drug smuggling operation. Right. Marty was known to be involved in the local drug scene, and Bo had connections to Chicago crime syndicates. Once more, like, we're thinking serious organized crime, federal level shady business. Like the high, like the real shit. Not the dime bags of the cocaine. Bags of the cocaine.
Not them Diamondbacks.
Not the Diamondbacks. Not the fucking baggies of fucking Molly. Like, we're talking the real shit. The scary shit. The mobland kind of stuff.
Oh.
So Gamberg straight up said it sounds like a cover-up. Yeah. Like, he believes it's a cover-up. And honestly, like, the receipts are there.
I mean, if you would read this to a fifth grader, they would be like, I think something's off.
So here's one thing. I think I deleted it earlier, and now I'm looping back into it. So I'm like, I was wondering where I said this part. So the Sacramento DOJ sent in 2 allegedly corrupt agents from the Organized Crime Division instead of homicide detectives when the murder took place.
Ooh.
And that's riled up everyone. Like, that was the first thing that was like, the fresh cops were like, why did you send them and not homicide detectives to a obvious homicide?
Yeah.
And that came from like higher up. So they were like, something had to.
That's shady.
Right. And why was Marty and Bo never arrested, never even properly investigated or interrogated? And allegedly they were told to leave by the sheriff.
Oh, I bet you're right.
Yeah. Dude, it was Marty and Bo.
Man.
It was Marty and Bo.
I watched the documentary about the octopus murders, and that's like all the government conspiracies and shit like this. Anyway, so now I don't trust anybody.
I wouldn't either. And it's definitely giving like a clean this up and shut it down energy.
Right.
And once more, it would also explain why very little investigating happened after. It was almost like this is a huge scheme of other shit. Maybe Sue found out and some part of this had to do with this and Marty had to shut it down, or Bo just wanted to fucking kill people, or you know, and it was a leg of the mob that just got a little handsy.
I mean,
like it just seems like the mob just kills people accidentally in moments because they're so used to killing people that something weird happens and they just kill them, and you're just like, a little extreme, little dramatic.
Either way, they lifted up that rug and they were like, sweep, sweep.
Yes. Yes.
Not even with a good broom either. Like,
No.
it's a Temu broom. Like it goes like this.
It's just bullshit. I'm like, what did I have on here to make sure I talked about? Got it. Okay. I was like, these were my after notes after rewatching the fourth thing on it to be like, make sure you include that. So, and now here we are literally decades later.
Okay.
And this case is still cold.
Why?
I did it and unsolved. Now, ignored for years by the people who should have solved and somehow still like didn't make it a priority. The very agencies that should have been screaming for justice, all of them had basically ignored it throughout. I never do a cold case.
No.
I never do a cold case. And I did technically on this one. Now, in 2025, what justice can really be had? Let me tell you why. So Bobo Beatty died in 1988. So not too far after that.
Right.
Now, it said likely of natural causes because I did look at, this was a chat GPT. I was like, how did this guy die? And it even said in chat GPT, it's frustratingly, what's that word? Where you don't have all the... Drew just leaned it. You guys are so ready. That word that's basically like not giving you enough vague. It was vague. So even ChatGPT said that it was frustratingly vague. And I'm like, did he die of natural causes, or was this dude a hit was put out and he died of natural causes?
They made him disappear.
Either way, he died in 1988, and Martin Smart died in 2000 from cancer. So they were dead 16 years before the hammer was found.
Yeah.
13 years after.
Wrap it up or try.
They could, but I totally agree. And then it seems like it's been reopened so many times, like in ways, not fully because we had to get the wrong sheriff out of there. But it's almost as if no one really fucking cares anymore. Like, I hate to say that, but it felt like that mistake you made at work that you didn't think was going to be a big deal, but it ended up being a big deal. And then you're like, I really need to try to fix this. But then people kept forgetting about the mistake. So then you just kept acting like it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, I fucked this up, but maybe if I keep quiet long enough, it's not going to matter.
Right.
Somehow it never comes to fruition.
My entire 20s. If you just ignore it, even though it's a problem, and pretend it didn't happen, then eventually someone
will get riled up about it. Yeah. And then you'll just be like, yeah, but he passed the lie detector. Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
It doesn't make that is nonsense.
I agree. And this is a tragic story without a confirmed culprit or culprits. The story of the Cabin 28 murders remains one of the most upsetting unsolved cases in America to this day.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset.
How did the system fail this family so hard in a small town where so that BuzzFeed, the dude said this and it fucking blew me away. He goes, you would think that a murder like this that basically wiped out like 10% of your population.
Right.
Stop and realize that this quadruple homicide cut out like 6 to 10% of their fucking, because I don't know math. But it took out a percentage of their population because their town was so small.
And you think that the guy, like, if the sheriff wasn't a dirty cop, and this is just me speculating, but like, you would want to solve that because that shit doesn't happen there. So you'd be like, I'll protect you. Not like, I asked him and he said no, and I kind of believe him. So he didn't blink at all.
I have this written confession, and I also have this tape recording of someone saying, I'm just going to toss it to the side. We're not going to look into it. We're going to get sketch artists. That's just Chad from the library.
Right. Do you think that'll...
I'm like, what the...
Right. He's a dirty cop.
And also the other part of this is like, while those guys were like experiencing the town, which once more, it's a low income area. It's on a mountain. It's fucking creepy. They say as well, they're like, the murderers were never found, so they could still be here.
Right.
So imagine 60, I'm holding on to the number 66. Imagine 66 people live in this town. You all know each other more than anything. The town is secluded and isolated. 4 people are murdered. And now that means you have 62 people. Of those 62 people, are 2 of them murderers?
Right. And then you're going to think about it every time you go somewhere. Like,
the place is secluded and isolated and scary.
And did Marty, Fresh Marty, whatever, did he stay there?
I think he did, but I don't know, because that was that weird thing. So, it's hard to tell if it's contradictory information or false information.
Right.
And because this is a podcast and you guys are not coming to us and we're not like standing in front of a judge, like confirming that all of it is true. I don't know.
I was just curious because I couldn't imagine living, because we've had a couple bad cases here in our town, and those people that were highly suspected and probable to do it still lived here. And I just can't imagine seeing them at the gas station. And we have, quite a few people that live here, not 66.
Right.
So I just imagine that guy walking down the street and people like,
well, no one
to the other
cared.
side. That's
the other thing too, is it's like all of it was hearsay. And so it doesn't even sound like a part of it to me sounds like there wasn't like this big ruckus.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't
Hell
like,
no.
so of course the town was terrified. I didn't even say that in here once. The town, everyone's freaking out. I didn't even say that because I didn't even read that.
I would just imagine that they would be, but I
would
guess
think
not,
you'd be terrified.
Right?
But it wasn't heavily communicated. Once more is 1981. This is a remote, secluded location. I don't know if they were talking to the townsfolk. I don't know.
Right.
Because I cannot see the whole world and the future and past and history. Because I'm Brooklyn Johnson and I'm just a normal human being. But I just feel like everything would be insane after that. Or it's just pockets of families that knew what really happened. And they're like, dude, it was a whole drug thing. Fucking Sue found out. Shouldn't have said anything. That's why we don't say anything. And that I don't know.
Who knows?
Who fucking knows?
That's sad though.
But that is the tragic story of the Cabin 28 murders, in which we lost the lives of Glenna Susan Sue Sharp, John Sharp, Dana Wingate, and Tina Sharp, while a major cover-up of some kind fucking occurred.
Wow. That's nutso.
It is crazy. There are some good shows if you want to watch, like, but they're not the like high production value kind of content. I'm not saying to find it on Snapped, but I found it on a lot of different versions of the details on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
But the town is really creepy. So I totally suggest if you're like at home and you're like, I ain't got shit to do. Maybe you just ate a gummy, feeling it. Look up some of that shit. Because and I have a photo of the cabin that's going to pop up. Even the cabin is scary.
Man.
Which is hard to say because I'm going to tell you any home in a low income area on a mountain to me is going to look scary.
Oh, I'm scared of the dark.
Low income. I'm gonna be a dick, and I'm gonna say low income areas tend to be scary. Like it's all because it's dilapidated housing. Like low income assumes you are not spending your free time paying for someone to power wash your house and to change out your gutters.
Oh God,
so dilapidated houses, that's the stuff that scary, creepy houses on mountains where murders take place. The house was demolished though in 2004. So it's just the land there now. Nothing's been rebuilt on it.
Man, I think I would move.
I have a feeling though, if you're there for a reason.
True.
And that's probably
Sounds
where
like
you
that's
can
a
live.
choice, yeah.
Yeah, that's where, or just a path. Like you're either from there, don't have a lot of money, low rent.
Like all those ghost shows where they're like, our house has demonic presence, but they're like, we're stuck here and they just have to live with it. I watch it happens all the time.
All the time. They can't sell the house.
They can't afford to leave.
Right.
So they have to stay.
And they're always like
live with demons.
And it's people who are like sometimes ass backwards on their mortgage. It's really pretty houses that were cheaper to buy. Fuck all that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was my story.
Yeah, that was nuts.
It made me think of summer, and it was in April, and it was apparently cold. So I picked that story on a lot of different ways, and then I like Googled and tried to find out what the weather was like, and they're like, it would have been chilly.
I picked it because it was summer, and then it was cold in April. So it had nothing to do with summer.
You get so far in these stories, you can't turn around. Once I realized that this one was unsolved, because I thought it was solved, because it seemed like that it was Marty and Bo, but
Bobo and Marty Mark did it.
I think they did too. Well, thank you guys. Don't forget, like, rate, review, subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles. A couple of Sassholes. That's always fun. Check us out on YouTube. Do all this shit, man.
Do all of them. Look at our Patreon. What?
Oh, I don't know. This episode probably comes out too late. Motherfuck, man.
Well, check out our Patreon because we are going to start asking you for some shit. So,
yes. Or just check us out on social media so that you can participate and then come and see some of our content.
Right. Do that.
Yeah. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Don't forget. Don't get mad.
Get sassy.
We love you.
We love you. Bye.
This episode was sponsored, edited, and produced by Wonderboy Media. Get the deets at WBOYmedia.com to see how you can make your podcast dreams a reality.
Help us out and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to our audio project. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at, of course, a couple of Sassholes.
Want more sass? Become a member of our Patreon for bonus content, merch, and more. Plus, we're on Cameo now, so there's even more ways to get the sass you need just how you like it. As always, don't get mad.
Get sassy.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?